My VR boyfriend turned out to be someone else entirely, and I never even realized. My name is Layla Martin, and my whole life, I've never had a boyfriend, and to make things worse, I had never even ever talked to a boy in a romantic way. This was not because boys didn't like me, but because I was too afraid that if I confessed to liking them, I would lose their friendship, or they would think I was weird. And for the record, I wouldn't say I was a sociopath, but I was also definitely not normal. I was interested in anime and manga, and I loved art and drawing, and also I wasn't a big fan of sports, except for figure skating and curling. For some reason, these things were very unpopular at my high school, and not only that, everybody who liked curling was basically bullied so hard that everybody stopped discussing it openly, so I became scared of people bullying me for liking all these things. Also, this was a very unpopular opinion, but personally, I didn't really like animals that much. Now, I wasn't scared of a pet dog or cat whenever I visited someone's house, but I was the kind of person that usually kept my distance since I wasn't very interested in petting these animals. And the reason for this was because I was a germaphobe who didn't like touching animals since who knows where they've been. Also, I have OCD, so I tended to obsess over cleanliness, punctuality, and small things in general. Finally, to put a nail in the coffin, I did not use social media, nothing except for YouTube, and even then, my screen time would not be too much on this app. Rather, I spent time drawing, reading, or even writing about things I liked. But due to all these things which I didn't find too odd, but people in my school found weird, I never had the courage to get romantically involved with a boy, so I just let that stuff go. However, one Christmas morning, my parents had gotten me a VR headset, and although I didn't like video games too much, the game felt so real that I loved being in it. This was how I imagined it would feel like to be inside a TV show or book, and due to that matter, I loved it. Soon, I started playing more random games, but I found out that I liked realistic games that were adventure kinds. And due to this, I moved from game to game until I landed on this one game called Nidal, and it was a club/party simulator, in which I could join actual public servers and meet other real people. In these clubs or parties, I could feel how it was to be a part of a club or party, and socialize a bit. I started playing this game more often until it became the only game I played, and I met a lot of people in this game, until Jake. He was a teenager around my age that liked the same things I liked, and every time I saw him at a party or clubhouse, instead of being in the middle of the map dancing, he would sit on the side sipping a VR drink and chilling. When he saw me for the first time also came his way, he moved over to let me sit down, and that's when I first got to know him. He was very sweet, and I got a crush on him, but this time, instead of overthinking it or delaying my confession, I just told him outright. The reason was because I felt so comfortable talking with him and thought he would understand, and surprisingly, he reciprocated my feelings. We soon began dating, and things were going great, until I became very desperate. I asked Jake one day in game if we could meet in person, and that now I had confirmed he liked me, we would have so much fun together, but this is where things started getting weird. I should have saw the signs and been cautious, but I didn't. And when he refused by making excuses saying how busy he was and lived quite far away, I pushed even further. I told him that that was not the case, since he had told me the first day. We met that he lived in the same town as me, and hearing this, he tried to backtrack saying he had mistakenly said that since the town name sounded similar, but I wasn't buying his excuses. I didn't want to annoy him there, so I decided to go online on social media for the first time ever to find out where he lived. I downloaded Instagram, set up a quick account, and soon found his name, and everything looked quite normal. I was able to do this because our game avatars were just scans of our real-life bodies, so I knew how he looked like, and finally, I was able to hit the jackpot and find his address. I saw a picture of his community and looked it up on Google Maps, and soon found the exact house, since his house number was also visible in the photo. Immediately, I got in my car and drove to the house. It was around 5 p.m., so I thought it wouldn't be too late. When I got there, I found the place and rang his bell, and surprisingly, Jacob was the one that opened it, and when I saw him, in my excitement, I ran up and wrapped my arms around his neck, grabbing him tightly. But instead of embracing me as well, he pushed me away and started asking weirdly who I was. So I told him I was Layla from the VR world, but oddly, he said that he had never touched a VR in his life, and I was very confused by this. I explained to him our whole relationship and how we met on VR, but that's when he understood what had happened and told him. He said that he doesn't play VR and that it was actually his dad who played it, and at that moment, an elderly man in his late 40s walked in and called out to him, telling me not to leave, but I freaked out. I was creeped out and left immediately, but I saw a voice changer connected to his headphones that made his voice sound like the Jake I knew, but I sprinted out of there no matter what. That's when I realized the importances of online safety and why you should always be aware of catfishes. And that's how